you won't hear anywhere else. With a different draft each day.
Jeremiah Love going to the Cardinals. He's going to come in and be a running back play.
Tonight, 8 Eastern, the elimination-style fantasy football draft. Right here on Fantasy Sports Radio. Because it's more than just a game. Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Fantasy Sports Radio, where winning is a reality.
Here's what's happening on Sirius XM.
Tomorrow at 1 Eastern, join the fantasy footballers alongside Jeff Ratcliffe for a special live broadcast from the Sirius XM studios in New York City. Your guests including Katie Nolan and more right here on Fantasy Sports Radio, Channel 87, and on the Sirius XM app. In my mind, this is one of the more polarizing teams in fantasy football drafts. I don't think the market has a fair grip, good or bad, on what we're going to get out of these players this season. And as Mario and I keep talking this through, next segment, at Alec Lewis from The Athletic. I mean, you don't want to change the dial. You've got to make sure you're here because we're going to get from the ground information about the Vikings that not everybody has access to. In the last segment, Mario and I previewed the 2025 season for the Vikings. We began to talk about the quarterback and the running back position. We're now going to get to the pass catchers. Mario, Justin Jefferson this year is the wide receiver 6 in drafts. If you're in a 12-team league, he is on the board right near the turn. And I just do not get it. Justin Jefferson is being unfairly punished for having played with J.J. McCarthy last year. If you even remember back, and I mentioned this in the last segment, Carson Wentz actually put up numbers last year proving how good O'Connell was. And listen to what Justin Jefferson did while Carson Wentz was playing. 3 for 81, 5 for 75, 10 for $126, 7 for $123. That was Pittsburgh and Cleveland those last 2 games. Philly, 5 for 79. And in the game Carson Wentz barely could raise his arms, 7 for 74. Justin Jefferson was balling out with Carson Wentz. And then we had J.J. McCarthy come in, and pretty much at that point, Jefferson had 1 game over 61 yards until week 18 when it didn't matter. That's how much the quarterback tanked Justin Jefferson. But again, he was fine with Wentz. So now we bring in Kyler Murray. Wide receiver 6. Justin Jefferson has been in the league 6 years. 1 year he missed time. Other than that, he's played every other game he's played. So durability, no question. Justin Jefferson's floor, aside from last year's debacle of McCarthy, 1,600 yards is his floor. That's better than St. Brown's ceiling.
You might have actually.
It's probably as good as Jamar Chase's.
Yeah, he is.
Why is everybody pretty much out on Justin Jefferson being a top 3 receiver?
I'm not sure. I think he's the best receiver in the league, and
Yep.
I am somewhat guilty of this trend you're referring to, Jim, but it's not because I mean to fade Justin Jefferson. It's that I'm so high on Ashton Genty and Marion Hampton in that same brand. I just can't really quit those guys until they get more expensive, but I almost hope they do because I've taken them a bunch already, and I want the excuse to start getting some Jefferson because I think you already nailed it. It just doesn't take much at quarterback to make Jefferson a slam dunk top 5 fantasy receiver. More specifically, as long as it's not apparently the worst quarterback in the league, he'll push for that kind of utility because J.J. McCarthy could not even run the offense. It was just unbelievable how he would drop back and play was over. The routes would still keep getting ran by the receivers, and McCarthy would kind of stand there and pat the ball and sort of look for an escape route eventually. But the play was dead within, before even McCarthy would complete his 3-step drop. Over and over, you'd see his brain just shut down in the middle of the play, and in a way that's really difficult to recall from anybody who's ever played quarterback in the NFL. So it took truly an almost impossible level of quarterback incompetence to have the outcome Jefferson did last year. And it's like we were saying before, you don't at all need to believe Kyler Murray is a good quarterback to still believe that he easily clears the line of Nick Mullins or whatever else, which is all that Justin Jefferson needs to break.
Mario, as I think back to the first segment, I think I undersold the story in the setup for Kyler Murray. I didn't set it up well enough for the audience. So I'm going to spin back as we get through Jefferson, Addison, and Hockenson. But I'm going to say this. Kyler Murray, what can he expect in the Kevin O'Connell offense? The first thing he can expect, receivers will be schemed open somewhat instantaneously. Justin Jefferson, like within a second, will often be schemed wide open. Jordan Addison doesn't get the coverage because of Jefferson. Will have play action. You'll have him get open downfield a little bit more. T.J. Hockenson will certainly be schemed open. That offensive line is healthier. But here's the other thing I want to point out. Some people will say, well, Kevin O'Connell's quarterbacks don't run. Well, yeah, he had Kirk Cousins and he had Sam Darnold. He uses boot action. He uses rollouts. He just didn't use them a lot because he never had a quarterback that could do that. Kyler Murray can do all that. In the meantime, when receivers are schemed open, this is going to make life very easy for Murray. Murray's not going to have to sit there and over-diagnose plays. That part's done by the coach for him. Anything you want to speak to that before I get back to the receivers?
I tend to agree. I think Kyler Murray, even if he's something more like an average quarterback or even slightly below average quarterback than an above average one, there are clear things that he provides that most quarterbacks don't, the running especially. But as much as Kyler Murray sort of needs accommodation to fit in an offense, as much as he basically couldn't fit in the Drew Petzing style offense, there are real reasons to commit to that accommodation for him, because perhaps you need a novel structure for him to play well. But we've seen some legitimately high points of play from Murray in the NFL. And those were in Cliff Kingsbury offenses, which were also ridiculous, in my opinion. I mean, every single play, right? The play calling was really predictable, way more predictable than it was when Kingsbury was in Washington. And Murray still had some really legitimately exciting games and even a couple seasons where it was like, wow, this guy might be one of the next star quarterbacks. It's gone badly since then, but how many times do we need to see the league reject some quarterback or another, a previously coveted one, a previously top overall pick even, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, these guys that get, Mac Jones, these guys who get discarded by the league, they often bounce back emphatically, and I think Murray's another good candidate to be the next one.
Hey, over at RotoWire, we have in-depth articles that you can catch every day. For the first time ever, the individual writers, our rankings are going up on the site. So this is the year. If you haven't been a RotoWire subscriber, you want to check us out this year. You use the code SXM at checkout for a subscription to get 15%. We'd love to have you on the team over at RotoWire. Now we go back to Jordan Addison. And Jordan Addison, 2023, he was a rookie, 911 yards and 10 touchdowns on only 108 targets. It was a great season. And then in 2024, he did miss 2 games. So he performed just slightly less, but per game he was well better. 875 yards and 9 touchdowns. So even at its worst, it was a 900-yard, 10-touchdown guy. Those are not throwaway numbers. But of course, last year in the environment, with McCarthy, 610 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jordan Addison is going off the board right around wide receiver 49, which is a borderline end wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 territory in 12-team leagues. In my mind, this is a guy that legitimately could be a top 30 receiver, and I don't have to make a stretch case for it. He's really been that guy. Is the market right, or what's going on with Addison?
I think the market is, it's understandable that there's some amount of concern. It's easier to believe, well, Kyler Murray is good enough for Justin Jefferson than it is, in my opinion, to believe Kyler Murray is good enough for Jordan Addison. It's like Justin Jefferson has such a low line that he requires from the quarterback before he fully factors in. Jordan Addison, in my opinion, could be a wide receiver 1 in the NFL, but he's a little more delicate. As we saw last year with McCarthy and his knuckleballs, Addison is liable to drop a pass now and then if he gets popped by the defense. And just the same, if you have a quarterback good enough to get Addison into space where his slippery route running can show up a little bit more. He can do big damage downfield, and the drops won't become as much of a problem because the separation can show up more. I can never shake the memory from Jordan Addison's rookie year where Justin Jefferson left a game against the 49ers, at which point the 49ers put Charvarius Ward they put Addison as Charvarius Ward's assignment after Justin Jefferson left the game, and Jordan Addison put Charvarius Ward on skates. He was spinning him around. Had a really big play downfield where he just torched Ward and covered. And Ward's was a really good corner, especially at the time. So when you have a rookie who can beat a really good veteran corner like Ward was at the time, that's a player who's clearly quite good and can do a lot more than he has in Minnesota if the conditions ever sort of line up for him to do it. I'm hopeful that Kyler Murray is sufficient because Addison, in my opinion, has gotten, especially last year, he was held back by the circumstances quite a bit.
Yeah, I will have many shares of Jordan Addison. The cost he's at is nuts. I will draft him as early as wide receiver 4. I don't have to draft him earlier. If he's going to wide receiver 49, I'll leave him up 9 wide receiver spots because I'll take that. I don't need to go crazy. But Jordan is a gift in your drafts. If you're not drafting him, I really think you're making a mistake. If you want to see daily player threads, stat cards, short video, I posted about 7 items of these on my socials at Jim Coventry channel. Check that out every day. Going to help you with RotoWire, win your fantasy football league. Well, coming up next, we have Alex Lewis from The Athletic, and we are going to find out just what the Vikings plan for this season with all the shakeups they've done. You'll find out what Alex Lewis has to say when we're back in 3 minutes. You're listening to RotoWire at Sirius XM, Fantasy Sports Radio.
Hey, Conan here. I want to make sure you know that my new podcast with the legend, Mick Jagger, is out right now. I flew from Los Angeles to London, and I got to sit down with Mick Jagger for an hour-long conversation. We talked about the new work, but so often the conversation would span decades. Check out the new episode of Conor O'Brien Needs a Friend with Mick Jagger playing all week on Conor O'Brien Radio, Channel 104, or anytime on the Sirius XM app. Hey race fans, this is Christopher Bell. The NASCAR Cup Series is on Sirius XM. We are back on the track Sunday,
6 p.m. Eastern.
It's the Window World 450 from North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Cracker fly, baby.
News. Catch the pre-race show before every Cup Series race.
on Sirius XM, NASCAR Radio, Channel 90, in the car, and on the Sirius XM app.
Attention fantasy football commissioners, with advice on your league setup, here's Jeff Ratcliffe.
One of the most common mistakes I see commissioners make is they act like they own the league and everybody else is just playing in their league. Commissioners are stewards of the league. They aren't the overlords. And ruling over the league with an iron fist is only going to create problems. Fantasy football and fantasy sports in general, it's about camaraderie. Yes, competition, but camaraderie. You're in a league together. So leagues function best when they're run democratically. Yes, the commissioner is the one in charge of running the process, but everybody in the league should have their say and their voice heard when any major decisions are made. So I always recommend a league vote instead of the commissioner just unilaterally deciding for the entire league.
Hear Jeff Ratcliffe weekday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern, right here on Fantasy Sports Radio.
Willie Nelson here. Come on in.
A channel where traditional country music is alive and well. Texas honky-tonk and western swing. The vivid sounds from Nashville. The legends keeping the tradition alive.
This is my house, Willie's Roadhouse.
Channel 61 is at home with the Sirius XM app on your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, or the internet-connected devices.
Finally, an exclusive channel dedicated to fantasy sports players. Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. This is coming over the ridge. Go on, have a go.
The 154th Open Championship is on Sirius XM Channel 92.
He rolls it. The moment of the day so far.
Hear live exclusive coverage of golf's final major of the year right now.
Oh, that's brilliant. Get in.
Listen to the Open Championship
Chip from Royal Burkdale on Open Radio, Channel 92 in the car, and on the Sirius XM app.
The industry's top fantasy minds. The insights you need. You're listening to RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today. Here are your hosts, Jim Coventry and Mario Puig.
Welcome back in the RotoWire, continuing to talk Minnesota Vikings. Mario and I have talked plenty of fantasy, but we need an expert from the ground floor, and we have got one. We got Alec Lewis from The Athletic. Alec, welcome in. The first thing before I give you my first real question is, what's it like in Vikings OTAs? What's like the spirit and the overall mood there?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I would say, OTAs was pretty much all business. Like I remember having a conversation with Aaron Jones where he made it very clear that there was kind of a, I think, motivating undercurrent just coming off of what last season was. And if you look at the record at the end, 9-8 does not signal or symbolize or probably clarify the struggle that it was, especially offensively throughout much of the season. So there's no doubt that Kevin O'Connell's standard is not to have seasons like they had, especially on his side of the ball. And so you could feel, I would say, just the urgency of wanting to put that very far behind them from the outset.
So, being a fantasy football show, my first question is one that everybody wants, $1 million question. Kyler Murray's in. We have heard some reports about some uncomfortableness with the offense. Where do you see Kyler Murray in terms of the offense right now? Do you expect he's the easy week one starter? And what kind of...
Yeah, I would say, I mean, the discomfort in terms of his assimilation of the offense shouldn't really be a surprise. Like, I go back, I've covered the team since Kevin O'Connell got here in 2022. I remember at the time, Kirk Cousins, who had obviously been in similar systems, talked a lot about the complexity of what Kevin O'Connell wants to get done within his passing game. And so even though Kyler Murray did play in a drop-back system with pure passing the last season in Arizona, I think the level of depth with this specific passing game does require a little more of a runway. So to see some trial and error throughout the course of the spring just wasn't that surprising me. As far as him being the starter and what to expect. I mean, the Vikings have talked at length about viewing this as a competition. I am not going to be surprised if early on in training camp, the reps start to swing Kyler Murray's way. And as long as he does what I think everybody kind of expects him to do, I'd expect him to be the starter. And then as far as how much he can produce, I think there's a lot of optimism for people who have been around Kyler in past years, and belief from people who've been around him in Arizona that things could go really, really well with this, level, with this degree of skill players, with the play caller being Kevin O'Connell, with just the organizational infrastructure that the Vikings have, and he'll have to prove that every day, and he'll have to stay healthy, which is probably the most important thing for the fans here, for you guys and fantasy players. But I think there is clear reason to be optimistic that it could look pretty fun come September.
Alex, you mentioned Kyler doing some dropping back in that Drew Petzing system. Toward the end especially, it didn't go so well for him there. So I was wondering, we have this faith that Kevin O'Connell will, one way or another, get it done and kind of make Kyler productive again. How much accommodation do you think that might take, though? Do you think Kyler can sort of find his way to plug into the prior O'Connell approach and make himself fit, or do you think they might need to tinker certain things to cater to Kyler's strengths?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a combination of both parties kind of working toward one another. And, I mean, that's going to take, putting aside some ego, that's probably going to take some putting aside a little bit of comfort at times. But I would expect, for Kyler Murray's side, his willingness to play in rhythm and on time as much as possible and progressing beyond his first and second read, like that's going to be important for him. And I think for Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings staff, they know that probably marrying some of their concepts with more shotgun, more pistol than they had utilized in the past might be the best way to maximize what Tyler will provide. And I think it will be kind of a trial and error, as it always is for every team. And I think that sometimes that gets lost in the narrative of system fit. Like, it's not as if coach staff or players, you know, like the system is what it is. It just stays that way forever. Like, there is a lot of shooting, I would say, on a week-to-week basis. And for I think for this to really work, it's a critical question. It's an important conversation. It's going to take just a constant awareness on both sides to work toward maximizing what's possible. I think ultimately, if they are able to do that successfully, it could produce a system and a picture of the way it looks that is probably different from what it looks like this day, but similarly effective in many ways offensively. So I think like that's the big question. That was a big question when Kyler Murray signed here, and it's going to be a constant talking point throughout training camp of what the length that each side goes to kind of accommodate and adapt to one another.
You're listening to Alec Lewis, who covers the Vikings for The Athletic. Alec, continuing on the running game. So last year in the beginning of the season, Jordan Mason was extremely effective through about week 7, and then Aaron Jones came back from injury. Aaron Jones pretty much took over as the lead back. Instead of getting 15 carries a game, Mason went down. That work. Jones signed a 2-year, $20 million deal in the offseason. How do you see the running back situation shaking out this season between Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting one, and the Vikings were definitely in the free agency market and curious about some of the higher-end possibilities. It's just nothing became to fruition with some of those options signed elsewhere. But I would say this, like, part of the reason Aaron Jones, even at his age and even through the injuries that he's navigated in recent years, part of the reason that the Vikings rely on him or willing to work with him with the contract for 2026 is because he provides a 3-down important skill set in Kevin O'Connell's offense. Like, they want those guys to obviously be able to run the football. They want really smart players who can be relied upon in pass protection, and Aaron Jones has proven that he can catch the football. So it's really a matter of trust for Kevin O'Connell, and I don't expect that to subside with Aaron Jones. As far as Jordan Mason, I mean, I've told people here, friends, I've told friends elsewhere, like, I think Jordan Mason remains vastly underrated. When you're just talking about as a runner of the football, like, does he have the burner ability? Probably not. But he has a level of vision that I think shows up in all of the advanced metrics. Or when you're talking missed tackles forced, yards after contact, just explosiveness metrics like speed and his top end speed, it does all pop on some of that stuff. And so I expect him to get a certain amount of carries, and throughout the season, it's just he struggles in pass protection, is not as reliable of a pass catcher. And the wild card really is 6th-round pick Damon Claiborne, who definitely, absolutely, without question, caught some eyes throughout OTA just in terms of like his movement ability. So I think if he can prove that he can understand the system, that can be relied upon to not turn the football over, like, I'm not going to be surprised if at some point he is getting some kind of touches because of what his kind of burst might provide an offense that already has a ton of weapons.
In recent years, the Vikings had moved around Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison pretty much all over the place at some point or another. But I'm wondering, with Jawan Jennings
what do they mean moving around?
Almost an ink written in as the wide receiver 3, do you think that this year they might more so give Jefferson and Addison boundary reps? I asked that because Juwan Jennings is kind of a burly, slower receiver, almost like a small tight end in some ways. And I was wondering if you expect Jennings to have anywhere near the pass catching production that he had in San Francisco, if he's more so going to be a dirty work blocker type in the middle of the field.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. You know, the Jennings part of it and his like level of production. I think that was before they signed him, that was a big conversation. Like he came on a visit, and I think one of the biggest reasons for that was to identify and discern from him like what kind of role does he expect, what kind of role is he going to be willing to play. And I know there's definitely, absolutely, without question, going to ask him to be the burly blocker, insert, stick your face in the fan type of guy. But I also think, I mean, you guys probably know this, and the listeners do too, because, you know, when you have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, defenses really have to play with two high coverage, and they have to load up with multiple bodies on those two receivers. And when you do that, you're, A, providing run opportunities for the offense, but B, you're providing single coverage opportunities for, you know, the third receiver. And Juwan Jennings has proven over the course of his career that he can win a lot of those opportunities. That, you know, there have been past times with Jalen Naylor the last couple of years and KJ Osborne going back to 2022 where guys in that role have been really, really productive. And so, I don't know, Juwan Jennings, if I'm expecting, you know, 50 catches or 45 catches or what have you, but I wouldn't be surprised if, given the gravity that Justin Jefferson has in the red zone, if Juwan is a big-time red zone target. And I know Kyler Murray loves throwing to more big-bodied guys, so, I mean, like, he likes throwing all great receivers and pass catchers, but it's not going to surprise me if Juwan Jennings has a lot of, I'd say, just like eye-catching touchdown production, just given the way that defense like to defend the Vikings usually.
So, Alec, it's an outstanding answer for Juwan Jennings. But speaking of big bodies, T.J. Hockenson, 6'5", 248. We go back 2022, he was with two different teams, the Lions and the Vikings, 900 yards. 2023, tears ACL in Week 15. He would have gone well over 1,000 yards had he finished that season out. And then, of course, 2024, he's back from the ACL, misses almost half a season. And then last year was J.J. McCarthy tanking everything. Yeah. So that's it. Hawkinson's only 29, and the last time he's had a healthy season, I know it was 2023, he's a 1,000-yard type receiver. Does he fit in this, or has he lost something since the ACL, or do we do right off last year as a J.J. McCarthy ruined everything?
Yeah, I mean, the Hockenson production question, I mean, I think we're going to get a pretty good answer to it this year, I would like to think. But I go back, I don't know if it was 22 or 23. It blends together in my head, but like I think there was one year where he had 90 catches, and really I believe it was 23 because that was the season that Justin Jefferson hurt his hamstring, and so he was really thrust into that like primary pass catcher role for Minnesota's team, and so there's part of me that knows last year, given not only J.J. McCarthy's quarterback play, which is like the sexy talker, but the Vikings had a ton of issues on the offensive line with guys staying healthy and cycling in and out, and that forced T.J. Hockenson oftentimes to be part of the protection unit. So even through last year, you know, as part of the team, you're asking questions, you're thinking about the idea of how much is T.J. Hockenson's production a byproduct of like his own wear and tear versus the team's circumstances. And I would say, the team shortened his contract to where he's in the final year of his deal. That typically adds a little bit of fuel to the fire for these guys in terms of what they want to prove and how they want to produce in 2026. And so for him, that's probably going to be the case. It's just the more you talk about all these skill players, there's only one football to go around, and they're going to want to feed Justin Jefferson coming off the year that he's coming off of. So it's hard, really, with a lot of these ancillary pass catchers to see a world in which they are reaching that level of production that probably helps you win a league, I would say.
stuff. We're very excited to get your expertise. Alec Lewis from The Athletic, of course, for everybody out there, if you were just jumping in. Alec, as we let you get to the finish line here, what is one thing that you are really looking for in training camp?
Hey, Donna, what's going on?
The quarterback is the most low-hanging fruit. But I've written this, I've said it on my own podcast that I host everywhere, that I think if you are looking at this Vikings team, besides quarterback, the thing I think people should be talking about more is what's possible with the run game. And we talked about the running backs, but I think the thing that will go overlooked by the quarterback situation dominating the conversation is the fact that the Vikings added Greg Smith, the former Miami Dolphins OC, who was Mike McDaniel's right-hand man, and then assistant head coach to Kevin O'Connell. They also swapped offensive line coaches. Chris Cooper left to go to Philadelphia. They replaced him with Keith Carter, and they are training that unit in a way and at a level that I have not seen in my 4 years covering the team. And they are also deploying some different run concepts and schemes in ways that are very much different. And so I think there is very much a reason to be optimistic about the run game when you factor in the potential for the pass game to improve, which forces defenses to play with more coverage. And when you do that, there's a lot more space to run the football. So if we look back at the end of the season, and if you put on the optimistic glasses of what the Vikings are capable of, it's obviously quarterback play in my mind, but also the ability to run the football at a level that they really have not been able to over the last 4 years. And that area of the team, I think, it's not going to get talked about a lot, but it's something that could be a really critical factor both in real leagues and in fantasy leagues.
Again, Alec Lewis from The Athletic. Alec, we really appreciate your time. We hope we can circle back to you during training camp. And again, enjoy training camp, and we will definitely catch you next time. Everybody, we will go on the clock. Which Vikings are we drafting and fading at their ADP? You're going to find out when we return in less than 3 minutes. You're listening to RotoWire on Fantasy Sports Radio, SiriusXM.
Rewind to when classic rock lived on cassettes. Classic Rewind, a channel that delivers all the music minus the tape hits. Dashboard digitized. Press play on Classic Rewind, Channel 25, and in the SiriusXM app, included with most subscriptions. On your phone, computer, Alexa, TV, or wherever you stream. I've never seen anything quite like this in sports. They are legends and icons.
Ohtani pays off. Shohei Ohtani, one of one.
Unicorns in their sport. The reason he's the greatest, he has everything. There's no way to stop Lionel Messi. And you can hear every one of their games on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. This guy is unbelievable.
SiriusXM College Sports Radio is the home for the most comprehensive coverage of college athletics. 24/7 sports talk and expert commentary from a renowned lineup of hosts. Breaking down game previews and recaps, delivering breaking news and analysis, plus interviews with the biggest names in college sports. All the action happens right here from the Xfinity Studios on SiriusXM College Sports Radio, Channel 84. Brought to you by the Wi-Fi that can host the world. Xfinity. Imagine that.
We are live from Freddy's house.
Yes, sir, Gavin.
Go straight back. There you go. Go in. You got room on your left?
Not much.
You just start tracking a little. Track. You even track.
Huh?
You keep it track. I figure you can back all the way up and then pull up, right?
Yeah.
be able to see on your left when anybody comes.
I'm gonna get wet.
What's your jacket?
Yeah, I got on my jacket.
Rewind it on the Sirius XM app, and you can catch all that Vikings stuff. But right now, we are going to put ourselves on the clock if we are in our fantasy drafts and trying to weigh out how we are valuing Minnesota Vikings against other similarly ranked.
This shit is ridiculous.
I've had the chance to pick them some number of times. Like I said before, I was chasing some of the running backs in that range more so. But among those receivers, Jefferson stands out because he's, in my opinion, just the best in the league, and it's going to be a high price to pay if it's back this.
Healthy. Justin Jefferson is criminally underpriced. Like Mario said, we like running backs. So if you're in an auction league, I'm definitely loving Jefferson more in an auction league because I do like running backs there. Now, let's go to the other receiver, Jordan Addison, wide receiver 48. He's going in a bucket with Jaden Reed, Xavier Worthy, and Jacoby Myers. So again, Addison, Jaden Reed, Xavier Worthy, or Jacoby Myers. Who you got?
Jordan Addison, the reason is the same as in the Justin Jefferson case, because in this group, I think Addison is clearly the most talented. I think Addison could be a wide receiver one, if not for the long shadow of Justin Jefferson kind of getting a little bit in the way. But it's not going to get so much in the way that Addison won't have his good games too. I mean, this is a guy who very reliably pushed for double-digit touchdowns per year, even with Justin Jefferson there, before J.J. McCarthy wrecked everything last year.
And then we go to tight end. And if you're in a best ball league, you're drafting multiple tight ends, you're drafting them late. TJ Hawkinson had a pair of 900-yard seasons in 2022 and 2023. Came back from a torn ACL, obviously played half a season and was not up to standard. Last year was J.J. McCarthy. TJ Hawkinson as a low-end tight end who is going right where Kenyon Sadiq, Dalton Schultz, and Greg Dulcich are going. Between Hawkinson, Sadiq, Schultz, and Dulcich, who do you like?
I have a probably reckless amount of optimism for Greg Dulcich and that weird Miami offense, but at least 6 times out of 10 there, I'm probably going Hawkinson just because we've seen Hawkinson. It's as simple as if he's healthy, he's quite good, and the health has been elusive, sure, but at that price, it's not a meaningful risk.
No, and Hawkinson's 29, and this isn't like wide receivers. Tight ends can play well into their 30s and play at a fairly high level. And so the age to me is not a factor. But I think, again, the ACL recovery, McCarthy, I really think it's reasonable to say I'm going to throw those years out because neither were his fault. I still think he's at the peak of his powers. We will see. And the big one, Kyler Murray, going as quarterback 19. He's going around Tyler Shuck, Jordan Love, and Baker Mayfield. So again, Murray, Love, Shuck, and Mayfield.
I like Shuck and Mayfield a decent amount, and I think at quarterback especially it makes sense to keep a pretty flat exposure rate just because there's various ways, offensive line injuries, receiver injuries, themselves getting injured, that it can go wrong. But out of them, if I have one billet, it is Kyler Murray. In fact, just talking with you right now, Jim, I'm kind of getting anxious and feeling like I want to start a draft right now to get more Vikings offense in general because I'm sort of realizing I'm a little lighter on all these guys than I'd like to be.
Yeah, no doubt. As much as I like Kyler Murray, I similarly like Baker Mayfield. Mayfield, whenever he's healthy, he's great. He's had 4 very good seasons. Yeah. When he's hurt, he's terrible, and he plays hurt. So I like both of them. And again, like you're saying, if I'm in 6 drafts and I'm drafting my second quarterback late, I'm gonna think 3 of Murray, and I'll think 3 of Mayfield, and I'll call it a day. So I definitely like that. And then running backs, well, basically, will you draft either Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones, regardless of who's on the board? Will you target either of them?
This is the one spot where I know I'm a little low on a player, and it's Aaron Jones, and it's just because of the age. I do like Jordan Mason, and I'd like Jordan Mason a lot more yet if I didn't have to worry about Jones hitting the picture. But of the two, Mason's easily my preferred target.
Yeah, and after, especially speaking of Alec Lewis, I was really optimistic that Jordan Mason would lock down the early down roll, and maybe Jones be the receiving back. Based on what Alec Lewis said, I think it's really Jones's backfield, and in my mind, I think Jones is now underpriced in fantasy, so I'm definitely liking that. All right, everybody, plenty of articles. Our rankings are up at RotoWire. Get 15% off the subscription. Use the code SXM at checkout. Become part of the team. We would love to have you. Great hour with the Vikings, but it's time to turn the page. We are going to stay in the NFC North and move to the Green Bay Packers. Lots of change going on there. Find out which players we are going to fade, we are going to target from the Packers and fantasy drafts. Be back in 3 minutes. You're listening to RotoWire on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.
Every year, the Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association brings the brightest minds in the fantasy industry together for unique fantasy football drafts. It's FSGA Draft Week.
Give me Christian McCaffrey in the top 5 all day long because he's still got #1 overall upside.
Winning strategies you won't hear anywhere else with a different draft each day.
Jeremiah Love going to the Cardinals. Going to come in and be a running back 1.
Tonight, 8 Eastern, the elimination-style fantasy football draft. Right here on Fantasy Sports Radio.
Before you pull the trigger on that trade, you might want to run it by us first. SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio.
This is the SiriusXM Sports Update.
For this being his first Open Championship and first trip to Europe, Jackson Suber did well today in the first round, leading at 5 under. He called the round with USA Network afterward.
I only played 27 holes in links golf in Europe for the first hole today, but definitely settled in. I got 9, and the card showed that. But just learning how to play golf this firm and all the bad and good bounces you can get, so trying to figure it all out.
Suber leads by a stroke over 3, including Pearson Cootie, who's still on the course. Colin Morikawa among a group of 9 that are 2 shots behind. Defending champion Scotty Scheffler done for the day. He's at 2 under. The coverage now on Open Radio, SiriusXM Channel 92. Speaking at the opening of the Fanatics Fest in New York City, free agent LeBron said, quote, "We'll see what happens," regarding his next team, adding that it'll be fun wherever he lands. Due to mechanical issues with the New York Liberty team playing, their game against Dallas was postponed until Monday. MLB Network Radio's John Morosi reports that the Reds and Chase Burns are in agreement on a 7-year deal worth $105 million, which is the largest guarantee given to a pitcher with less than 4 years of MLB service time. See your reaction on Channel 89. They'll also have the return of the baseball season tonight as the Mets visit the Phillies at 7 Eastern Time. And as part of the NHL regular season schedule released today, all 32 teams will be in action on Tuesday, October 13th, as well as Saturday, April 10th. For SiriusXM Sports, I'm Zig Frickas.
If it's happening in sports, it's happening on SiriusXM.
3 receivers right. Tight end left side of the line. Snap. Kid Jacobs up the middle. Burrow his way. End zone. And he is in. Yes! A touchdown! Josh Jacobs would not be denied. And the Packers lead 27-21.
When every lineup matters, trust the experts. RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today. Here are your hosts, Jim Coventry and Mario Puig.
What a year for Josh Jacobs and the Packers. Started out exciting, and it ended up in sheer disappointment. Mario, we will look back on the 2025 season for the Packers. Remember, everybody, you want to stay tuned and don't change the channel, because at the bottom of the hour, Bill Huber from Packers on SI will be giving us some ground floor concepts of what's going on after the Packers have closed up their OTAs. Mario, Packers finished the season 9-7-1, second in the NFC North. They bow out in the wild card against Chicago after having a massive halftime lead and choking that away. But to me, the story of the season was the team had started out 9-3-1. The offensive line had kind of fallen apart. Josh Jacobs sprained a knee and played it most of the way through. Jordan Love had a Week 16 concussion and sat out the final 2 games. They never had all of their receivers healthy at the same time. What was your overall... Oh, and Micah Parsons. I rule that one out. Micah Parsons tears his ACL in Week 15. What was your overall view as you look back on the 2025 Packers?
It kind of felt like most Packers seasons under Matt LaFleur, I suppose, where they seem quite good, and at their best points, you start asking, like, could this be the time they win the Super Bowl? And in each case, there's a little bit of something that goes a little bit wrong, and they feel like they're going to be in it as long as they have kind of the LaFleur and his basic program in place. But it definitely remains to be seen. Despite last year's injuries being a valid excuse for the burnout toward the end, it remains to be seen whether they can kind of get over the hump that stalled them each time in the past. And it's a tough division to have to worry about getting over that kind of hump.
The offensive line for many years in Green Bay had been a definite strength of the team. It wasn't last year. The line was bad, it was injured, and then in the offseason, Elfton Jenkins, who had once been a good player, he's now gone in free agency. He's over in Cleveland. Rasheed Walker, was it Wallace or Walker? Rasheed Walker. I'm sorry about that. Left tackle. He was very good. No longer with the team. And now we have Jordan Morgan stepping in left tackle. But anyway, back to last year. How much do you think the status of the offensive line hurt the Packers, and how did it impact them if it did?
Well, they had to start so many different starting combinations that at a unit where continuity is so crucial, they had none. And some of the guys that they had to put on the field were not exactly well built for the task at hand. So it totally hurt them, and it was sort of unfair in the sense that they actually went into the year with really good offensive line depth. In fact, one of the things I like most about Brian Gutekunst is how he almost obsessively invested in the offensive line over the years, using draft picks on guys like Anthony Belton, even though he was a backup, Sean Ryan, even though he's a backup. Now they get to, going forward, they don't have that same depth, so this year they can't afford the same injuries as last, and I don't know, I'm a little concerned that guys like Jordan Morgan might not be as good as they hoped either. So I worry that the offensive line was a big part of the problem last year, and I guess it remains to be seen whether they're fundamentally different going into this year.
Josh Jacobs. The weirdest thing about Josh Jacobs' season is he was kind of crushing it for fantasy through Week 10. He was catching. He had 4 games with at least 4 catches. Maybe 5 games with at least 4 catches through Week 10. And then he was scoring touchdowns. And only 1 game he didn't score a touchdown. He had 3 multi-touchdown games. But the funniest thing about Josh Jacobs was before he injured his knee in Week 11, he was only averaging 3.8 yards per carry. Now, I know that you get a lot of goal line carries and cuts down on that, but the Packers line was not good. After spraining his knee, he actually ran for a better yards per carry, 4.1. I just thought that was odd. Overall, that said, Jacobs is still a very good player. He's 28. He does have a big career workload, but I still am concerned about the offensive line. I don't know how much better it's going to be after losing people. I was concerned there. Anyway, what was your take on the Jacobs 2025 season?
I think Jacobs is plainly a very good player, and I've seen some suggestions that last year indicated decline, and it kind of exhausts me to see that suggestion again when we just went through this 2 years ago, and probably the 2 years before that with the Raiders also. Each year, Jacobs finishes around 4 yards a carry, which is within the normal range of variance, by the way. There's this sort of thrust to say, like, oh, he's toast now this time. His EPA per carry was actually really low, so now he's washed up. It's like, no, when you take a volume power back and send him into the teeth of the defense over and over, like Jacobs has his whole career, the defense is gunning for him at the lightning rod point of attack in the middle of the offensive line, and he takes those hits, takes some injuries too as a result of it. I mean, he's played hurt for probably like 3/4 of his career. It's just he's very good at playing hurt, so it doesn't come up as much as long as he doesn't miss games. But when he misses games like last year and he's playing hurt in the precious few that he is active for, then it's easy to end up with a low yards per carry despite playing very well. And I think his off-season arrest is certainly concerning, but knock on wood, hasn't been a whole lot to come of it, and more specifically, nothing has come of it since then. And the player is not to be questioned, in my opinion.
Jordan Love. Through week 12, Jordan Love had almost half of his games with fewer than 20 fantasy points. That was rough. Actually, it was more than half this game. I have the exact number in front of me. It's like 6 or 7 games out of the first 11. Less than 20. That's the standard for a fantasy quarterback. You got to hit 20. Now, he got hot after that. Week 13 through 15, he hit 20 in each game. Then he got injured in the Chicago game, so we throw that one out. We know Jordan Love is an excellent quarterback, but he averages less than 30 attempts per game because the offense does want to have a real good balance. What were your thoughts on Jordan Love last year?
Yeah, it was a frustrating season for him, especially because of not just his own injuries, which he played through. The offensive line injuries landed hard on Love, too. As much as it's one of his strengths that he can stay up so tall in the pocket and, basically invite certain hits from the pass rush. He still takes some hits, of course, when he plays that style of game. And last year, the health issues that he had, I think, weighed him down a little bit, especially while having to deal with the offensive line's injuries, losing Tucker Crocs in the middle of the season. It was a pretty tough season for Jordan Love, and I hope we can take it as a given, that the condition will be a little more favorable this year, but I am still worried about that offensive line like you are, and it remains to be seen how well Love can keep it together if he's having to sort of dodge these falling objects from overhead. And I hope that in the event that Josh Jacobs, whatever, by injury or if there's some kind of disciplinary thing, if Josh Jacobs isn't out there, I especially worry for Jordan Love at that point, because I think the defense knows it's like, okay, we can just kind of cheat against the pass now. So I have some amount, I think there's some amount of sort of peril in Love's projection going forward, just as last year was a perilous season. But we, I think, have grounds at least to say that if the conditions do somehow turn for the better, you don't really need to worry about him at that point.
Matthew Golden is next, the 23rd pick in the 2025 draft by the Packers. You invest the first-round pick in a receiver, you're expecting immediate return on investment. He was typically getting 40-ish snaps a game through week 8. After week 8, it was in the 20s, and that was about it. He had like no big game, 55-yard game from week 9 to week 17. The rest of the game, 24 yards and fewer. He wasn't getting many targets. The playoff game against the Bears, 4 for 84 and a touchdown when they were scrambling from a huge deficit. What are you taking away from Matthew Golden's rookie season?
Well, if you run a history for the kind of rookie year production that Golden had, which is not very good production, it produces a list of almost exclusively NFL busts at receiver. I think maybe like Devontae Parker is probably one of the few exceptions to that rule. And I understand why people don't want to go against rules. They don't want to bet on anomalies or whatever. But I feel comfortable saying if Matthew Golden simply needs to be the next one of these horrible rookie year, then he's going to do it. And I think that's easier to believe when you note how, as good as Matt LaFleur might be as a schemer, he's always been kind of neurotic with his wide receiver rotation details. You're putting guys like, even Dontavian Wicks in my opinion was not particularly good. I know there was a bit of hype for him. I never believed in him, and I thought he was just killing him for the most part the past couple of years. A guy like Malik Heath going on the field. This is something LaFleur needs to improve, and admittedly, as much as I have this faith that Golden, for his own part, is good, he might not get the chance to really prove it unless LaFleur stops these ridiculous tinkerings with his receiver rotation. He's got to put his best three out there. That's Watson, that's Golden, that's Reed. And if those three guys are out there, I think they're all good because they've all been so good on a per-snap basis. Not as much Golden, of course, but the speed is real. He did not play badly last year. He just wasn't given real opportunity.
So, Christian Watson misses the first 7 games, then gets on the field in week 8. And I know he had a number of solid fantasy games. But that said, he had 5 games between week 8 and 17 with single-digit PPR points, including a 3, a 5, a 6, and a 7. Where are you at Christian Watson? Because the team definitely believes in him because they gave him a 4-year, $100 million deal in June.
I think you can believe Christian Watson is quite good and still acknowledge that he has limitations as a receiver. Specifically, the hands will never be a great strength. He was better about that last year. I got to give him that much credit. He made some gnarly catches last year that I feel like he would have dropped in the past. And if Watson can sort of carve out more utility, more usage in the middle of the field at intermediate depths, that could fundamentally change his production profile, which otherwise at this point is pretty much just a high-low kind of game, which was what he was at North Carolina State, North Dakota State as well, where he was either kind of getting a screen or an end around the line of scrimmage, or he was getting a 40-yard bomb downfield with nothing in between. And as much as you could look at his usage in that offense and say, well, that was just the offense choosing to use him that way, he could have done more in the intermediate. That's true, but almost always it's the case that if a player could have, the team would have too. It's not as if North Dakota State was like, oh, we don't want to throw the ball to Christian Watson in the intermediate. It was more so they tried and it didn't work as well as when they tried to use it the other ways. So unless Watson can establish more of a presence over the middle and at the intermediate depth, I think he'll always have a more inconsistent target rate than his biggest fans would prefer to see. I do think the high points will be there, though. I think his overall production profile will be explosive and efficient. I just don't think he has such an all-around game that he'll appear every single week exactly when you want him to.
Everybody, if you want Mario and my articles along with our rankings, you go to rotowire.com. You use the code SXM if you subscribe for 15%. We'd love to have you a part of the team. Lots of great things going on at RotoWire. And otherwise, if you want daily threads and deep dives, also want videos and stat cards, you can follow me on socials at Jim Coventry NFL.
Daniel Barrera. Shouts out to Daniel Barrera. Go ahead and double tap.
We're going to talk about this year's version of the Packers offense. Which player are we willing to invest heavily in and which one are we out on? We're going to find out when we return in 3 minutes. You're listening to RotoWire at Sirius XM Fantasy Sports.
The World Cup is nearly over, but the soccer never stops on Sirius XM FC. You can listen to soccer fans. Hear the stars of the tournament in the English Premier League. MLS, the wonderful goal, and the UEFA Champions League. When it matters much. 5 matches from the world's top leagues, plus soccer talk and analysis on your 24/7 for soccer. Sirius XM FC and on the Sirius XM app.
You know the feeling. That rush when you reach that goal, make somebody brag a little back home. That's success. And at University of Maryland Global Campus, we believe you should never stop chasing it. That's why UMGC offers an accredited skills-based education that helps move your career forward. We'll teach you how to apply emerging technologies like AI and data science, plus build your skills in leadership, communication, and critical thinking. Explore more than 100 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. With affordable and online programs, you can unlock new opportunities to help you succeed again. At UMGC, success is yours for the taking and the making, and nothing should keep you from it, especially not an application fee. Apply now and we'll waive your application fee. Classes start August 12th. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by SHAP.
We all make promises to ourselves to live healthier, eat better, move more, drink smarter. With Aquasana water filters, drinking smarter is effortless. Aquasana turns every tap in your home into a source of cleaner, healthier, better tasting water without all the plastic bottles. Their filters reduce chlorine, PFAS, microplastics, and other unwanted impurities while keeping the essential minerals your body needs like potassium and calcium. You'll notice the difference right away in every sip, every meal, even every shower. From washing produce to brewing coffee to winding down at night, Aquasana helps protect your home and your family from harmful contaminants in your water. Because healthy living starts with healthy water. So make the switch. It's better for you, your family, and the planet. Visit Aquasana.com and use promo code SXM to get up to 50% off select systems. That's AQUASANA.com. Promo code SXM. Aquasana. Better water, better living. Whether it's your first fantasy football draft or your 15th, RotoWire is ready to help you own your draft room and dominate your league. From the draft assistant providing real-time insights as you pick, the draft plan creator to customize your strategy, and the draft simulator to test every scenario, you'll walk in ready to take down the room. Head over to RotoWire.com and use promo code SXM at checkout to get started. One more time, that's promo code SXM at RotoWire.com. Because this is the year you win.
Fantasy Sports Radio, where championships are won.
Here's what's happening on Sirius XM.
Tomorrow at 1 Eastern, join the Fantasy Footballers alongside Jeff Radcliffe for a special broadcast from the Sirius XM studios in New York City. Your guests including Katie Nolan and more right here on Fantasy Sports Radio, Channel 87 and on the Sirius XM app.
Slow it down, slow it down.
You're listening to RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today. Here are your hosts, Jim Coventry and Mario Puig.
Welcome back to RotoWire, talking Green Bay Packers. Hey, we got great producers, Phil Backert and Noah Cannon with us today. Very excited. They're working hard behind the glass to make it. You're going to want to keep tuned to this channel. Bill Huber, Packers on SI, will be coming in next segment to give us a look from the ground floor of what went on during Packers OTA and answer some of those questions. You can get that intel you don't get every day for fantasy football. Mario, we took a look back at the 2025 Packers. Now we look forward, and I think my big question is the receiver room. Jaden Reed has largely been a slot mostly player. Matthew Golden was more of an outside receiver, and he, as we talked about last year, did not do much of anything. And then Christian Watson is back this year, and they don't have much depth behind him. They got rid of Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks. They do have other people in the room, but it seems like there's like a big three there. How did these three fit on the field?
I feel like it's a little bit like the Jaguars case where we're sort of yearning for one of these guys to, or not just one of these guys to be a clear wide receiver one. We want some clear hierarchy of some sort. And I don't think we're going to get it. I think the simple fact is each of Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden has certain clear strengths in ways that complement each other, but also each one has a sort of weak spot that prevents them from scaling up the way their fantasy investors might hope. You know, you see guys make plays as good as Watson and Reed have. It's really frustrating to see them go to the bench, especially when it's non-entities like Malik Heath going onto the field. So I'm hopeful that part of Matt LaFleur getting his extension with the Packers, even on the hot seat, they gave him this extension, and I'm hoping that Gutekunst or whoever sort of told him, look, I know you love to tinker with things, I know you love to put Malik Heath on the field for some reason, but we spend these picks, we spend some money on guys like Watson, Reed, and Golden, and they play well, so why are we taking them off the field? It just doesn't make any sense. And if the Packers trend toward a three-wide offensive base, which I do think they will, I say that because they don't really consider Luke Musgrave a real tight end at all, and Josh Wiley, he's definitely not more than a tight end 3 type on a good depth chart. Tucker Kraft coming back from that ACL. I think there's reason to believe, certainly to hope, that LaFleur finally gets it right this year and sort of just lets each of Watson, Reed, and Golden spread their wings as opposed to rotating them out and sputtering their momentum all the time, which is what it seemed like to me in the past years.
Since Jordan Love has been the quarterback, Matt LaFleur frequently likes to keep them 30 and fewer attempts. Like that run-pass balance. There are the games that are shootouts, and Jordan Love will put up a big fantasy game. But then Jordan Love now like quarterback 20 in fantasy drafts because I think people just realize there are not enough feeling games. There are too many of those games from like 17 points. There's just far too many of them that you can't really trust as a fantasy starter. But he's a great quarterback. Is there any chance in your mind that LaFleur at all changes it up, or it's going to be more of the same?
Right, it's one of those things where it requires a leap of faith to assume it will improve. There's no empirical evidence that LaFleur will ever do anything differently than he always has, and what he's always done, at least to me, is pretty irritating, because the guy is a great game schemer, play schemer. He has a really good sense of how to sequence play calling against a defense and kind of lull them into a trap. He definitely relies on that power run game to get the defense to lean a little too far forward and run defense and then open up the big play downfield. But as much as LaFleur prefers that patient sort of approach, that wait, give the ball to Jacobs, wait for the defense to make a mistake, that style of play, they might not have as much luxury to lean on this year, because acknowledging Micah Parsons' injury when it occurred, I can see this defense struggling, especially run defense this year. I can imagine the defense not being quite as good without Jeff Hafley running it, the head coach of the Dolphins. So if LaFleur has to throw the ball more, and if he's already using more 3 wide personnel than he has in the past, I think you can, especially at the price cost, I think you can sell yourself on this is going to be a little bit more of an upswing year. And at the very least, the price is low enough that it's not especially painful to find out.
So, Tucker Kraft, you mentioned him, and I think we have to make sure we talk about him before we're out. We didn't talk about him in the last segment. He was on pace for a monster season. His yards after the catch. A, it's Kraft, but B, it's also LaFleur scheming the tight end in space to get plenty. It's both. No shade on Kraft. He earns all of it, but he is used perfectly. Coming up an ACL, and yards after the catch is a massive part of his game. But the reports have been positive. The expectation is he's going to be around for training camp. As of now, what are your thoughts on Tucker Kraft going into this season? Can he repeat the magic that we saw last year?
Or we watch him on tape, they see the way this guy's stomping and thrashing, and they blatantly, they're sort of like, maybe I don't want this smoke. As much as it looks unsustainable at a glance, as much as you might kind of reasonably look at that 10.9 yards after the catch and say, well, that has to come down. It's a lot of the same application as George Kittle in the Kyle Shanahan offense, where, yeah, it's generally unsustainable to expect 10 yards after the catch every catch, but if the catches are all of these sorts of designs where it's part of those play sequences that we mentioned, where it's LaFleur setting up the defense into making a false step. Kraft needs at that point to get that 10 yards pretty much every time. It's part of it is the conditions, like you said, and LaFleur does a good job of recreating those conditions. I do think Kraft could run more downfield routes and be more of a true volume receiver. The problem in the meantime is LaFleur's structure doesn't allow that. LaFleur's structure and the way that he tricks the defense into cutting Kraft loose for the yards after the catch requires tricking the defense into thinking, well, Kraft's just blocking on this play. Kraft's in line, they're going power run, let's get ready for the run. That's when Kraft really kills you, and it would kind of require LaFleur abandoning some of those looks, which I don't think he can do since they have no tight end depth, in order to increase Kraft's target volume. So I think you're going to get another season sort of frustratingly low target volume, but the efficiency and the explosiveness I expect to remain very high, including in the red zone, where Kraft was a monster last year.
I want this one to be more of a quicker hit answer. I want to talk about Christian Watson. Christian Watson is being drafted as a wide receiver 24. He's never had more than 620 yards in a season, and he has had seasons with 14 and 15 games played, so it's not like he misses every game every year. He has 2 pretty full seasons, never had more than 66 targets. Is wide receiver 24 banking on something that is just an imagination? Because people think it's a thing.
I think there's a case for it, especially in best ball, but I guess the point that I would become critical of Watson at his ADP is just the fact that Reed and Golden are also good players, in my opinion, to the extent that I don't consider Watson the clear wide receiver one. I think it's sooner going to be 3 receiver ones. And if that is the outcome, just as a general rule, I don't want to buy the most expensive one. So kind of a cowardly answer, but I'm getting some of Watson, trying to hedge my bets between those 3.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what to do with that because normally players get an injury discount in draft. We see it all the time. We see he goes like a round later. Oh, yeah, well, he's been hurt. And even though Watson's a 14 to 15 games in, he's this time every year. And so he is the furthest thing from a sure thing. And I know 2 years ago, oh, we got the hamstrings fixed. Okay, fine. Maybe. But that said, not more than 620 yards, and we're going to pay that cost. And people are like really getting rabid fighting this one. So the fantasy community is very harsh on the stance.
Christina, go ahead, double tap.
They think it's a steal at that cost, and I am just like, I just cannot see. I see the talent, but when last year, when he supposedly had his breakout, I told you earlier, he had 5 single-digit PPR games. If my wide receiver 2 can't have a 3, 5, 6, and 7 in a 10-game stretch, you cannot have that. But apparently, fantasy community knows something that I don't, because I completely don't see the case for a weekly wide receiver.
No, it's just a Freightliner.
Everybody do not want to change the channel. We have beat writer Bill Huber from Packers on that side. He is going to give us some information that you just can't get. And
IQR products plus free shipping when you text HEALTH to 64,000. Text HEALTH to 64,000 to get your 20% off. That's HEALTH to 64,000.
When you're a small business owner, you're always looking for the next big thing. Whether you're a gym owner looking to expand, store stocking up for a busy season, or a restaurant owner planning a new menu, you'll always need capital to grow. But traditional banks are making it harder than ever to secure a small business loan. That's why thousands of business owners trust Cardiff for same-day funding. Their online application takes less than 5 minutes and won't impact your personal credit score. With over 2 decades of expertise, it's no surprise business owners keep voting Cardiff America's favorite small business lender. If you've been operating for at least a year and are earning at least $20,000 a month in revenue, apply now for up to $500,000 in same-day business funding at cardiff.co/SXM. Again, that's cardiff.co/SXM. Cardiff. Borrow better.
Sirius XM has your sports. Live play-by-play coverage and talk about your favorite teams in the NFL, fantasy, college sports, NASCAR, the PGA Tour, plus exclusive sports talk on Mad Dog Radio with Christopher Mad Dog Russo, Sirius XM Sports.
We're going to go back to our breaking news now. Deadly flooding devastating the hill country of Texas, where a year ago, more than 100 people died from a historic deluge there. So far, Texas authorities know of 1 person who has lost their life from the intense rains and flooding in the last day.
These images that you are seeing here coming from our next guest, independent journalist Jonathan Petramala, who is in Boerne, Texas. Jonathan, thanks so much for being with us. You also were there a year ago. I know this is worse in a slightly different place this year, but tell us what you're seeing on the ground.
I would say the biggest comparison to last year is just how much more widespread this is. So in a way, this is more impactful, believe it or not, than that deadly flood last July 4th, because the last year you have focus. The focus was the Guadalupe River. It rose around 30 feet in a very short amount of time, and unfortunately it killed around 130 people. This focus was not just one place. There was several small streams, creeks that exploded out of their banks with the force of a raging river, enough to carry RVs away, carry cars away, and so it's so widespread in so many different areas that it caught a lot of people off guard, because when people are thinking about flash flooding, especially after last year's flood that happened on the 4th of July, people think of the Guadalupe River. It's a deadly river, and we've seen it just last year. They do not think about the creeks in their backyard or the streams that they drive across when they're going to the store. And those are the creeks and the streams that unfortunately have caused a lot of damage and destruction in areas that people just do not expect. I spoke with some people today that survived this from the second story of an apartment building, 8 people having to go from the first floor up to the second floor. And they say when we think of flash flooding, we look down towards the Guadalupe River. This came from above us. And so it absolutely caught many people off guard, even though, of course, they're living in what's famously known as flash flood mountain.
And to that point, we've been showing some of the images you've gotten from throughout the region, from the air and from the ground, throughout all of this as well. It's one thing where any type of natural disaster you're covering, there might be warnings, alerts that go out, forecasters saying, hey, watch out for flash flooding, it may grow, this amount in a certain amount of time. The water rose so quickly here. Did you get a sense that despite the warnings that typically come with the region, that people knew it was going to be this bad?
And again, you'd hope that they would take the lessons from last year, but many times I think there's a real big communication problem between us and the media, weather professionals with the National Weather Service, to communicate to average everyday folks just how serious a flash flood emergency is and what that entails. And too many times we get bombarded on our phones with alerts almost every day, it seems, right? And so it's hard to keep every alert and warning and keep it in the front of our mind, saying, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen. And another thing is, you got to remember this happened around.
Yeah, we heard about that big fire up there in Canada.
They're clearest thinking, they're not awake, they're caught completely off guard. Exactly like the flood that happened a year ago on July 4th, when that was a big problem back then. People were not paying attention to their phones. They weren't paying attention to the alerts. They get so many alerts, they just start ignoring them. So that's that overload. And it really comes down to just a communication problem, people not understanding, what does this mean? Again, I talked to people today, and they said, yeah, we got alerts, but we didn't expect this. Like, how can we expect this? They've never seen it, especially like it came down from above.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine something that you've never seen before. Jonathan Petromala, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for showing these pictures with us. It really gives us a sense of what people are dealing with this year in Texas Hill Country. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, stay safe as well. Still ahead, thick, hazy.
I believe it's a Detroit engine, I believe.
Live look at Detroit, where air quality there, you might be able to guess, is hazardous. We'll have more on the dangerous conditions next.
Is life insurance
Gotta crash ahead, guys.
this year? Now is the perfect
Gotta
time
crash
to just get
ahead.
it done. A buddy told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I added this to my list this year and got it done. I called SelectQuote and was shocked at how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $18 a month. My wife's also 40 and her $5,000 policy was only $16 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, no medical exam was required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Checking this off my list felt great, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better. Call SelectQuote at 1-800-242-3311 for your free quote today. That's 1-800-242-3311, or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-242-3311. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Hi, I'm Sherry, owner of LifeSource Water. Your tap water isn't as clean as you think. City water is full of contaminants, including chlorine and microplastics. At LifeSource, we believe
What's going on, Donna?
your family's health.
Where y'all at today?
The system delivers filtered water from every tap, even your showers. For over 40 years, we've proudly built every system right here in the USA. Upgrade your water today by calling 1-800-WATER-99 or visit LifeSourceWater.com. LifeSource, taste and feel the difference.
Warranty limitations apply.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You push yourself in everything you do, scanning headlines for insights, keeping an eye on the market. Robinhood puts you in control of your money, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Navigating life stages, Caring Transitions offers support for every step of the way. For seniors relocating or downsizing, we offer a compassionate, individualized
Oh, you almost lost CC. Somebody left the gate open. Who the hell left the gate open?
On our exclusive online platform.
Christina said, who's winning the World Cup? Said the game don't come on till tomorrow, right? This weekend.
Caring Transitions, embracing new beginnings with confidence.
Hey, rockers and Kiss Army, you can meet Gene Simmons and other rock icons at the Legends of Rock Expo, September 25th through the 27th at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. More than 30 rock legends will be in one place. Gene Simmons and other members of Kiss, Stuart Copeland of the Police.
All right, we got to crash ahead, guys. Big Mama and Pop Pop on the scene. We got news and weather. We had a little rain earlier.
Tickets are on sale now at legendsofrockexpo.com or buy them at the door.
That's the sound of a Friday night around board. Hi, I'm Bryn Putnam, the founder of a new kind of game console called Board. I created Board because I kept seeing the same thing. My family together in one room, but everyone on a separate screen. So I set out to build a screen.
Somebody left their gate open, let CC out.
Board is a 24-inch digital game board for everyone to gather around.
All right, guys, we got to crash ahead. Let's see what's going on.
Knows what each piece is, what it means, and what it does. It comes loaded with fun, fresh, original games you can't play.
Somebody hit their medium.
Games that bring people together, sharing experiences that were never possible before.
Oh yeah.
See it in action at
Oh yeah, tow that move. Tow it up. Y'all please drive safe out there. Big Mama and Pop Up, we just report the weather and the news and the accidents. We just try to get through here safely. Everybody drive safe. Christina says she's carrying gas. Oh, you better really be safe. Donna said we've seen a couple accidents too, a few accidents too. Everybody please be safe.
Tell us about the current air quality across Minnesota. Are there certain areas worse than others that you guys are keeping an eye on?
Yeah. A good chunk of the state is in that marine or hazardous air quality.
There's a part of
Minnesota that is actually green right now, but the Wake Stationary Front that's parked right across, just south of the Twin Cities, right across Minnesota, and that has brought the smoke down through most of the state, and the entire state that is being impacted is in that marine or highest category.
So, one of the things that we've been watching for me, a lot of people are wondering, is how long is something like this going to last? I know you guys are tracking it pretty closely. What are the estimates you're seeing on your end?
Yeah, we've been advised by our partners that these fires are likely to burn until the snow puts them out in the winter. But I'd also caution that although these fires might burn that long, they might not be producing smoke in sufficient quantity to cause air quality issues. So it's really going to be dependent on the fire behavior. It's obviously very hard to forecast, but it's something that we are fully weeks, not months.
A lot of times when there's a lot of smoke like this, it's other weather conditions that sort of exacerbate the effects of it, whether it's wind, whether it's dry air, whatever it might be. Some people are looking at sort of the northern edge of this week's heat dome. It seems like it's perfectly placed over northern Minnesota, southern Ontario as well. How much is that having an impact? And are there other sort of extra weather conditions that you think are making the effects of this felt a little bit worse in a wide part of this country?
Yeah. So we've been in northern Minnesota. There are temperatures between 100 and 105 degrees. And this is an area of the country that sees 100-degree readings once every several years, and the average highs are in the upper 70s this time of year. So We had an extreme heat wave that went through that rapidly dried out the vegetation, and we also have some lingering drought concerns. And so the combination of both of those, along with lightning strikes, is what produced the wildfires in northern Minnesota and the extreme fire behavior that they created us.
Let's see. Doris Connors, do we figure this wet? Andy, Radio Andy said hello, 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 hello. Said hi, said, yeah, you guys are changing. You guys are changing their mind. I don't know when you guys are. Said,
$3 a month. In 10 minutes, your family can be covered with life insurance. When it happens, your family's going to be very grateful. Do it to ethos.com.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/rate. That's ethos.com/rate. Ethos.com/rate. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary. Sample rate 10-year lifetime policy for 40-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
When you're running a business, there's one question that never...
A little bit, especially too, because they never replaced John Fitzpatrick, who played something like 300 reps as a really rugged blocking specialist last year. They just don't have that guy anymore.
That's a great point. They've tried, I mean, they got a couple of young guys here, but it seems more like pushing and hoping that those guys are going to be able to do that. I mean, I can see it. I mean, if you're the head coach, you better be taking it into account. I mean, if you're Matt LaFleur and you're going up against a defense that can't rush the passer, is going to have some struggles, and look, they got a suspect pass rush and suspect corners. I mean, if you're Matt LaFleur designing a game plan against that defense, aren't you going to go chuck it? Well, hell, of course you are. So I would think that that's got to be on his mind this offseason, that he might have his preferred way of running the offense, but he better have a more pass-centric plan B if you're going to be going into games thinking, you know, I'm going to have to get 27 in this game. I just can't play conservative. We're going to have to go score some points to keep up. So, yeah, I certainly would think that's on his mind.
Bill, we're a fantasy football show. Christian Watson, we see great flashes of potential. We'll see some good things time to time. He's being drafted as a 24th receiver off the board in fantasy football drafts, yet he's never had 620 yards in a season. He does have a season with 14 and 15 games played, so it's not like he's always off the field. But that said, is Christian Watson somebody that there's a legitimate reason to think we are going to get an 800 or a 900-yard season out of him when we haven't seen anything close to that yet?
Yeah, 100%. So if you take he played 10 games last year, if you take over 17 games, he came off the torn ACL, he tore an ACL at the end of 24, and he came back for the final time last year. If you take those 10 games and put over 17 games, you get like 1,050 yards and 13 touchdowns? 9 touchdowns, I forget. I'm using my Tucker Craft stats here too. He's a 1,000-yard receiver with a bunch of touchdowns. So now you take that, if he can be healthy, now you take the fact that they've only got 3 proven receivers, so rather than having Dontavian Wicks out there for one, Dobbs had 80-some targets last year. If you divide up those, I think it's 130 targets for Dobbs. All of a sudden, you get 40 of those to Watson, and he stays healthy. Yeah, you're looking, just based on that, you're looking at over 1,500 yards. We'll see if it works out that way. But yeah, I think there's a lot of upside there for sure. I mean, I would buy drafting for sure. No doubt about it.
A lot of hope, excitement, slight amount of concern for Tucker Kraft as he comes back from that mid-season ACL tear, but with still no Fitzpatrick replacement on the roster, it sure seems like the Packers are planning on putting a lot on Kraft, especially as an inline player once again. Is it safe for us to assume, based on the way the Packers are approaching their tight end personnel right now, that they very much expect Kraft to be close to 100% for week 1?
Yeah, I mean, Kraft expects to be 100% for week 1, and in fact, Kraft said that for people who think that he's going to have a down season because he's coming off an ACL, he just doesn't buy that premise whatsoever. You should see, if you see him running during OTAs and minicamp, look at really straight line running is, you know, whatever. It's nothing to do with real football, but I mean, he looks ready to go. And I mean, we all know how he was last year. When I was projecting stats a minute ago, I was doing some of the crap stuff. If you take his 9 games, put him over 17 games, he would have had like 750 yards, and he would have had 13 touchdowns. He's been the third most in NFL history by tight end. Again, you want the receivers. That's why going to need more of a target share for Kraft. Yeah, if he's right that he's going to be ready to go week 1 and like 100% ready to go, yeah, there's no reason to not believe he's going to have a monster season. He's, I hate to use the word great because it's so overused, but I think he's a legit great player.
You listen to Bill Huber, publisher, Packers on SI. Bill, we appreciate your time. I'll give you a quick one on the way out, though. The betting total for the Packers, you'll either find 9.5 or 10.5 wins. Let's just say 10 wins. Do the Packers win more or less?
I'm taking less. I just don't know how they set anybody at the Carlson Creek's back.
And the last thing then I would say for this is, during training camp that's coming up, is there one specific top of the list thing that you're looking for?
Yeah, the receivers.
Smash that like button, it's free.
Like if one of those top guys gets hurt, but then obviously you need to get a break or you're going to come back more, then you have to get them out for a minute. I don't know who is available at receiver who can make a difference. So finding that guy, I'm not saying they don't have them, they just haven't proven it. Finding a one or three or four who can take legit reps for you and make some impact, I think is huge.
Bill, we appreciate your time. It was a great conversation. We learned a lot from you. We hope to talk during training camp.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
Thanks. All right, that was Bill Huber, publisher of Packers.si. We are going to go on the clock. When we return, we're going to take Packers players, match them against other Super
Yeah, I like those old flat-nosed Peterbilts. Make sure you be safe out there.
They have this disrupted sleep. They may not be eating regularly or much at all. They have these incredible physical situations they're in. And it does, in some of those cases, lower their testosterone and cause problems significantly more than the general population. How does that fit into this discussion? How would you see a policy addressing that?
One thing, I'm not aware that testosterone is being measured under those circumstances. And of course, it's easy to picture that it would be difficult to make that determination, knowing it's going to have a blood testosterone measured while they're on a dangerous mission.
Of course, the military is not just about men, right? What about hormonal imbalances in women? It's really unclear if women will be tested in this case, but how might they fit into this?
There is no known condition where women would make less than a normal amount of testosterone. And for that reason, testosterone treatment is not approved for use in women.
So talk to us about, you mentioned the logistics of just how difficult it can be because we're talking multiple tests fasted at a certain amount of time. When there is proper treatment for low testosterone, how is that something that is done over time? I mean, how do they monitor, how do doctors monitor to make sure that they're properly treating patients?
So if a man really has a low testosterone, and some men do, there are men who have diseases of their pituitary gland or of their testicles, so they make very little testosterone. Those are known, accepted conditions that are recognized to cause very low testosterone concentrations. And so those men legitimately are.
Where are you guys at? Oh, okay. Wasn't there supposed to be someplace you were supposed to be going to get free school supplies and stuff? Where are you guys going for that? Oh, they cute. I was like, oh my god, those plates are big. Oh, I wonder if that's stacks of yours. Plates big as shit. Well, yeah, because I mean, he needs a new backpack, so. Oh my god, his backpack is so big. It's so big. I know, but it's so big. Oh, okay. And DJ got Crocs on? He's into Pokemon? Isn't there a movie coming out? You watched it? As a family? Daddy, do you remember watching? You remember watching Pikachu? No, not the last time because I was sick.
You talking about the one I fell asleep on?
Daddy said the one that you fell asleep on? She don't remember. Dead ass. Yeah.
She feeling better?
Character backpack. Oh, they're the ones that had China's backpack? So how much did that set y'all back? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But you got them there, right, but you got them, did you get them closed too, or just focused? With their phone. So where are you gonna find this as phone? Oh, they have this there. Oh, okay. Got it. So did anybody eat all their food? Oh, did she? Why they closed? You supposed to be out of work, you can't be caught over there. Is there another one in town? We'll double check. The one in Summerlin's not that far from our house. I'm just saying, nigga, you supposed to be at home sick, resting. Now, what if somebody from your job goes across the street to Five Below for anything? Yeah, you're off tomorrow. You get it done tomorrow. Take your ass to summer. Hey, baby. Did you play your piano this morning? play your piano this morning? Oh, yeah, you're supposed to play it every morning. Yeah, it's 15 minutes. You make time. Insane. Right. Every morning and every night. So you're going to the one in Summerlin, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, go there. Holly says she's going to the one that's in Centennial. There's yoga mat over there too. Is it hot out there? Oh, damn. Yeah, we woke up rain this morning. Washington. Yeah, we woke up to rain this morning. And it just stopped raining like a half hour ago. So yeah, we got a hot ass 62 degrees out here. But it was hot as shit yesterday. I was burning the hell up yesterday. Even in Oregon, it was 101. I said, oh my God. All right, have fun. I love you. Okay, bye. I'm just gonna go on the one by my job. Nigga. He's supposed to be out of work.
Oh, the 5-11.
Right, because the only backpack that did not come with headphones to match was DJ's. And he got Pokemon. So, but Five Below has the Pokemon headphones. So that's why they're going to Five Below. She's going with the one that was off right closed. She said they were going to go to the one by her job. I said, you sick. She's like, well, I'll just tell them I was not feeling well. I had to go take my kids out for their school supplies. Thinking you off tomorrow. Could have done it tomorrow.
Wait.
Just saying, you gotta think about something. You know what I'm saying? I said, Google and find another 5-11. And then how much you have to find one. Even the one in Summerlin is not too far from the house. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to the one by your job. Because you never know. 5 Below is literally right across the street from your
That's
job.
what I'm saying. All it takes is one of the people to be on radio.
Right, that's what I said.
Hang it out and say, oh, we see the other.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I told her. I said, what if somebody has a break and they go across the street?
Right. Jim Clark, go ahead and double tap there, Jim Clark.
So with all the traffic that we had, it put us behind schedule. So instead of us picking up the load first and then parking, we have to park. Because we only have an hour and 12 minutes. It'll probably take us about 12 minutes to get to the truck stop. So that's an hour. There's no way we're going to be able to get all the way up to one. Because it's 24 miles after we go over the bridge. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not trying to spit like fucking water. I understand they got a porta potty, but it's not trying to be up there. Be a damn truck stop. Even though they don't have any food. You said they didn't have any food. No.
Well, I think they had some food. I don't remember what it is. It was so long ago. Smoky New York. I didn't know they had a Smoky New York.
Well, it's smoky now because of the smoke.
Oh
from the
yeah,
fire.
I got it. I see what you did there, Tim Clark. There's fires out there too.
Yeah, remember it's that big old huge Toronto fire, and so remember
Oh
the smoke came
yeah,
down from
in
Canada.
Canada.
But now, how about it's coming down into Minnesota? Minnesota, they said almost the whole state of Minnesota is smoky.
You got me there, Tim Clark. Said LOL fires in Canada in direct line with bringing safe out there. Stay indoors if you can, or
Yeah, they said the air quality is bad in New York and in Minnesota.
load up on those H1, what are them called? H95 masks?
N95.
N95 masks. Need everybody to be safe.
Oh shit, gotta have masks.
Dumbass truck up there didn't even pull up. That wasn't up.
Ain't no median separating us. You gotta pull the plug over. So your wife knows how to pull it over, darling.
You want to get somebody that ain't driving safe. Teach y'all to drive safe. That's Pop's favorite message to everybody. Drive safe. Get home to your family so you can see what your wife cooked you or your husband cooked you. Or the kids done cooked you. I don't know if the kids been cooked you.
You got a car on the get your ass off the way. Get your ass in the right lane, that's what you do. Much appreciate it, sir.
Sit in the thing right by the pool. Right
You want to park right there?
there. Yeah, you can.
Huh?
Yeah, you park right there. Is there room? Yeah, it should be room. Yeah. Okay. Two officers right there.
Oh, there you go.
said Princess, or what she had bought.
Yeah. They went to Stacks and Yolks for breakfast. And then they went and got backpacks for the kids. So here they are at Stacks and Yolks. And then China got her Huntrix backpack. And then DJ got the Pokemon. And then JoJo, he ended up, I only thought he was going to get Sonic, but he ended up getting Mario. I seen him backpack super big. And look, they have matching, it came with a matching pair. I see him backpack. She said, we'll adjust it. It'll be fine. I said, but it's so big. shitter he goes. Somebody just went and put a bottle.
You have 0 hours and 59 minutes of remaining drive time. You have 0 hours and 58 minutes of remaining drive time.
I don't need socks. I can use my same socks. I only had them on for a couple hours. Oh, I still got a chocolate cake in there? Well, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end up eating that icing that's in the bag.
I didn't like these things yesterday.
You didn't like them?
When do we go to the store? When do we go to work?
On the Friday when we got paid?
You want people? I don't want people.
I do. Just got them on the 12th. The 16th. So they should still be good. You still got barbecue sauce, right? Yeah, the icing that's down there on that second shelf, you can pull right there. Because then I can do that too. With my stomach. Yes.
Wipe up first.
No, I'm okay.
Wearing shorts.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the temperature's going to be like, but... Yeah, when I got up this morning it was, yeah. a short one. All right, Daddy, 1 through 8. I can load up.
No, I would do the spaghetti first, and then the biscuits. Because I can butter my biscuit, while I'm buttering my biscuits, and I can always, I can butter my biscuits. The microwave, but at least it'll already be heated up. Were you thinking about doing dinner first and then the cinnamon rolls? 1 o'clock? Huh?
That was the other one. Better ride spoil the child my house. Right around our house, I better. I was like, what the hell am I in? Like that?